Welcome back to the breakdown. I am DELACREMEDELA, your privileged host, and this is the breakdown show. This is the third part of this meeting marathon. You know, we do them all the time. There's always a marathon if we're talking about Dolton, because these meetings do go long. Look, we are at part 3 of the Dolton trustees meeting on Monday, where they voted in Lori Lightfoot as the special investigator, Keith Freeman, not counsel. So your letter was wasted. Your chat GPT letter was wasted, dumbass. This is not it. They didn't hire her to be litigation or an attorney or counsel. They hired her to be a special investigator. That's what she is. That's what she'll be. I would encourage you to comply. Well, let me jump back a little bit. Welcome to the Breakdown Crew. Whether you're in the bushes, whether you're in the comments, whether you're one of our wonderful moderators, whether you got to watch this a couple days early on Patreon and chop it up already, or whether you're just now watching this on YouTube with the rest of the family, welcome to the Breakdown Show. Let me just give you a couple house rules. Although this is meeting marathon number 3 of this particular series, I want to just jump in and give us a couple house rules because I don't know if I gave them on the last episode. House rule number 1. Okay, very simply, this is not a no judgment zone. Okay? We say what we see. Now, I haven't had coffee yet, and I went to clean out my French press so I could make some coffee, and I just didn't feel like it in the middle of it. I didn't feel like cleaning my French press. I just didn't. So I went ahead and just said, you know what? I got a little leftover Blizzard, and I got a bottle of water. We're going to make it do what it do today. But I guarantee you, we still gonna see what we say. Boris. Listen, this is not a place where we give a lot of benefit of the doubt. I try. I gave Lori Lightfoot the benefit of the doubt that she may have circulation issues in her leg, and that's why she allowed like 13 black women to walk up to her and bow in her presence, and she never stood up to address them as a servant who's being brought in at $400 an hour should. You know, I gave her the benefit of the doubt when I looked at the back of her legs and I saw that her knees were extremely thick. I saw that she might have some circulation issues, so that might be why she didn't get up. I mean, I've given Tiffany Henyard a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. I mean, she grew up in Dolton. Y'all flew there. She grew there. She been drinking that nasty water for a long time, so that might mean she might be a little retarded. So I give her a little bit of the benefit of the doubt that she's retarded, but that ain't got nothing to do with her personality disorders and the way she treats people. You know, I give everybody a little benefit of the doubt. I know Keith Freeman is probably sleepy and a little bit delayed because he got 2 kids he don't want. You know, he raising 2 kids he don't want. So, you know, he might have to spend a little extra time outside of hanging out with Tiffany Freeman 24/7 to going home and being a husband well, you know, he's impotent, so there's not much husband happening there. But going home and being a father, he might be a little tired. So maybe that's why he talk like a mush mouth. Maybe that's why he doesn't look anybody in the eye while he answers questions. You know, maybe that's why his chair is so wide. You know, maybe I give people the benefit of the doubt, but for the most part, we're going to say what we see. This is not a no judgment zone. Don't bring your Bible in here, honey. This ain't the place to say, thou shalt not judge. Me and Tupac talk all the time. That nigga said only God could judge me. That's a lie, because I am and will. Okay? House rule number 2. This ain't for kids. Y'all, so I saw a lot of comments. How could you speak like that with your daughter in the car? Let me answer that one more time. I'm grown. There are certain things that many people, and I don't mean to be condescending, but I understood language differently when I left America. And when I lived in another country where English words were used in different contexts than we use them here. even curse words. I'm going to give you a quick story. First time I realized shit was different. I had been in China for not very long, had my baby, and hired 2 nannies immediately, right? Because as I said in another video, because I'm not going to take a back seat on my professional prowess and use being a mother or a single mother as an excuse, Tiffany Henyard, I invested my money in really good child care and got 2 nannies when I had my baby. Because I don't believe anybody should be with anybody's child for longer than 7.5 hours. And my entire day away from home was about 12 hours. So I had 2 nannies, okay? Well, the very first morning that I left my new nanny with my 3-week-old baby, she texted me. Now, mind you, I had had 5 miscarriages prior to this baby. So I kind of knew exactly by that point everything I needed and everything I wanted and the way I wanted things to be. Right? Been through 5 pregnancies, 5 choices of diapers, 5 choices of schools, 5 choices of diaper rash control, formula versus breast milk, and all the choices, vaccine or don't, all those choices I've had to make about 5 times prior to this. So by the time I got to this pregnancy, which finally made it to a birth, shout outs to me, okay? Listen, by the time I finally had a baby who wanted to be here in this situation, in this relationship, in this country, with this name, and all the situations she chose for this time, I knew that I didn't want to use any traditional diaper rash creams. I knew by this point that coconut oil was the best thing for my baby's bottom. But I had a nanny who never used it, never seen it. She didn't know what it was. She was used to using, they didn't use any kind of cream or diaper rash cream in China. So she wasn't used to using anything but like a wet wipe, right? So she sees this bottle of melted coconut oil and she texted me. And she texted me in Chinese. And so I translated the message into English from her Chinese. Now, what she probably texted me in Chinese was, do you want me to use the massage oil for the baby's butt? Okay? What she actually texted me in English was, would you like me to use the touch fuck oil for the baby's butt? Touch fuck. No, you heard me right. Touch fuck oil. F-U-C-K. What the fuck did that woman just say to me? And I had to take a breath. And I had to remember I'm in another country with a different language and people use words differently. So I took the word touch fuck and I translated it back into Chinese. And then I translated it back into English. And I saw that one of the meanings of that word was massage. But she said touch fuck. She literally used the 2 Chinese words, pung, and then the other word that goes for fuck. And together those 2 words mean massage. Really? So you mean if you put the Chinese words touch and fuck together, they mean massage? Those 2 characters together come together to make a word that means massage. And then there was another time when she texted me and she wanted to know something about a diaper. And instead of using the word poop, she literally used the word shit. S-H-I-T, which you and I would say is extremely unprofessional, unconventional, inappropriate. But that was the word for poop. There was no other word. There was no other commonly used word for poop other than the English word shit. That's what it was called. Shit. Here, there, and everywhere. Poop was called shit. Not poop. Not boo-boo. Not dookie, as I love to hear Trina Downs say. Shit. So in that moment, in those moments in 2017, as a mother, as a teacher, as an adult, as a traveled person, as a cultured individual, I came to understand that words are just that. Words. That's it. That's all. Take the sting off of it, motherfucker. It's just a goddamn word. Do you know how many people in China called me a nigga because they thought that's what we really were called? Bitch. They would walk up to me and be like, well, nugga, let me explain this. Nugga in China, in Mandarin and a lot of other Asian languages, the word nugga, you'll hear a lot of Asians say nugga. It doesn't mean nigga. It means this. Or that, rather. That. This is jugga. Nugga is this. So I remember jigga, jigga, that nigga, jigga, this, that, this, and that. That's how I remember it. But they called me a nigga because they thought that's what we were called in America. When there were some Chinese people I met who didn't even know there were black people in America. But I was in a grocery store one day picking out some jackfruit, and this man walked up to me and said, "Are you a nigga? Nisha nigga ma?" I understood what he was saying. I had the conversation with him. I let him know in America that word is offensive. We don't like to be called that. So when you see another one, don't say that. Just say Heisel, black. We can take that. We can deal with that. Make Warren American. We can do that. But you don't want to say nigga, okay, nigga? But you gotta take your shit off for a moment. Stop being so fucking high-minded, self-righteous, and judgmental, and self-righteous. There are people all over the world who speak differently, say different words. I had students in China who brought beer to class because that was normal for kids to drink beer and smoke cigarettes. Get out of your fucking brain, get into the world, and understand that language is language. Yes, I do use what people call curse language in front of my child. I teach her how to appropriately use it. She's actually on a cursing hiatus right now. She's not allowed to cuss right now, and I haven't had a problem with it. When I said she can do it, but she was going crazy. She was like, She's like, Mama, can I say, there's a few words she wasn't allowed to say, but she would ask me, Mama, can I say fuck? Yeah, honey, you can say fuck. Ooh, this is some good fucking nachos. She was just going crazy. Of course, only at home, not in front of the elders, not at school, blah, blah, blah. We give boundaries, right? But when I noticed that she was overusing the cuss words and just cussing, or just sitting with her dolls, just talking in cuss language, I pulled it back. I said, you're not ready to use these word tools yet. You're using them inappropriately right now. So we're going to pull them back. There's no such thing as a bad word because there's no such thing as a bad person. There are inappropriate words. There are places you can use them, places that you don't, places that people they're inappropriate around, people they're not. But yes, I do curse in front of my child. Because I was 36 years old when I had my baby. Unlike a lot of people. I was 36. I was grown, baby. Grown and into my shit. So to pull back my language in front of my child would have been as fake as my parents. Because I cuss. I'm good at it. Do it, okay? So I'm going to be a normal human in front of my child. I'm not going to raise her for the world I want her to live in. I'm going to raise her for the world she actually lives in, and I'm in that world, motherfucker. But if you are offended by that kind of language around your children, this is not for kids. I don't film, for the most part, around my child. But she definitely watches my show. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I don't make my life for anybody else's. As I said, I was 36 years old when I had my child. I was 28, 29 the first time she tried to come. So between 29 and 36, it was a whole lot of cussing. And it will continue to be. But you guard the ears of your little ones and you raise them for that perfect, spotless world you expect them to live in so they can go out in the world and be self-righteous and judgmental and have a unrealistic view of how people are supposed to behave and ostracize themselves from normal people until they realize this is the world they live in. Rule number 3. Okay. Amanda MBS is one of our patrons. She's also a moderator on this channel. Thank you so much, Amanda, MBS, and Rosetta. As well, I did add a new moderator as well. Go Political. Carlton, thank you so much for being a new moderator. You don't get a chance to accept or deny here. You just are. So thank you so much for being a new moderator. Now, the reason I mentioned Amanda MBS is because she's one of our patrons, and I actually have already put one of our meeting marathons, the first of this series, is up on Patreon right now. First and second is up on Patreon right now. So if you want to understand what happened before you watch this video, you might need to go to Patreon, because that video might still be only available on Patreon and then coming to YouTube at some point, because we get early access on Patreon. But the reason I mentioned Amanda and this Patreon commercial, Breakdown 555, is because excuse me, on our meeting marathon 2 for this particular series, I asked a question and Amanda knew the answer. It was so crazy. So I'm gonna give you another one. If you can finish this sentence with a smile on your face, you got to have 2 parts in tow. Number 1, you got to be able to finish the sentence. Number 2, you got to have a smile on your face when you finish it naturally. If you can finish this sentence, but you ain't got no natural smile on your face, or if you're unable to finish this sentence, then you need to be very careful about what you say about black people, Tiffany Henyard, women, and black people while you watch these videos. I'm going to say this sentence. I want to hear what you say back. Say it loud. Hush, girl. My baby know it. Don't say it, okay? I hope y'all didn't hear her. She gave it away. Let me see if I can do it again and give it to you with the silence. And Jing needs you doll? And Jing needs you doll? How does she? Yeah, okay, let's go. Say it loud. Say it loud. All right, say it loud. If you had to think for a minute, if it wasn't a natural instinct and a joyous experience for you to finish that sentence, then shut the fuck up when you talk about black people, black women, blackity, or black and black and black. Be very careful. And I'm going to give you a second test, because you can figure that one out easy. Let me give you a second test. If you can finish this sentence, then you definitely can say what needs to be said. You ready? You ready? Are you ready for the sentence? Somebody's still trying to Google the first one. That means you ain't got no business talking. But if you could get to this one, okay, we got through the first trial, right? We got through the first gate. Let's get to the Holy of Holies. Let's get to the Holy of Holies, honey. If you can finish this sentence, then we'll talk. Woo! I love my people. I'm telling you. I love my people. I literally know that a lot of natives in America were bunched in with black culture, as I am, and I'm here for it, because that's all I know. Listen, my mama said she thought she was Mexican till she was 9, and I understood, because I spent a lot of time in California. It's very easy, okay, when you're a certain complexion and a certain phenotype and you eat a certain kind of food and you understand a certain kind of language, to think that you are of those people. Most likely she was. When I read my family history, I found out that on my mother's side, no one had been outside of America. We didn't come here. I found records dating back to the 1400s on my mother's side of family, who was already here, established here, well-doing here in America. Same on my father's side. We found out, my mama Jenny she was 9 when slavery ended, but she had this ongoing battle with our family. And she would say, just because I was 9 when slavery ended doesn't mean I was a slave. Why do you think I was a slave because I was 9 when slavery ended? She wasn't. My great-great-grandmother, Grandmama Jenny, was not a slave. She was Native American. And so a lot of us have been bunched into black culture. So I'm just going to say it. I love being black. I love it. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Say it loud. There you go, baby. Anyway, so house rule number 3 is this. If you can't finish both of those sentences, then just say what needs to be said about the politics, about the personality, about the psychology, about the business, but stay out of the race talk. Okay? Because a lot of times when people, as you see, Long Island Audit called the police to the meeting on Tuesday. He is not of our culture. He does not understand that's inappropriate. Actual Justice Warrior said some things about Tiffany Henyard that were way off color. He called Miss Valerie Stubbs Valeria. He's not of our culture. We don't have a recognized culture in this country. We've allowed people to siphon out and sponge off of our culture. And for the most part, we just want to be accepted and left the fuck alone. But we have to understand those who are not of our culture. And we have to set those boundaries. Long Island, do not go back to Dolton. Stay your ass out of Dolton and Thornton Township. Because you, sir, are a problem. You don't go to a meeting full of black people and call the police. That's what you don't do. I'm going to get into that later. I'm jumping ahead of myself. Anyway, those are our house rules. Now, this is what we're doing right now. We've already taken a look at the first 2 parts of this meeting. They finished the meeting where everybody got locked out and none of the trustees got up and went and opened the door to let the people in. We also finished the section where we brought in the long-necked turtle, Lori Lightfoot, and I explained why I understood that. I also explained some of my concerns. Now we're getting to the portion where the citizens have asked all their questions, relevant and irrelevant. Now we're getting to the second meeting, okay? But we're in the second meeting. I'm sorry. The trustees are going to speak a little bit about their selection of Lori Lightfoot. I do have some criticisms of it, of course, because they're fucking human beings. Listen, I learned a lot about God when I understood and studied Obatala. Okay? Obatala is a peacekeeper. Obatala is about justice. Obatala sits at the right hand of Olodumare. But keep this in mind. Obatala makes mistakes. Obatala said, I am the creator of all children. If there are children who are created who have a malfunction, a deformality, whatever about them that isn't considered necessarily healthy or normal, it's my fault. Obatala said, if your baby is born and is not completely up to where it's expected to be, that's on me. So me and Obatala had a great relationship while I was pregnant. Okay? Obatala said, on the night that you made your baby, I might have been a little drunk. Now, my baby was born and is perfectly fine, awesome, 10 toes, 10 fingers, great brain, great mouth, no dysfunction, no delays, ashe. You understand? But Obatala said, I might have been drinking the night your baby was made. So your baby might have come out a little bit less than normal. Obatala said, even as a God, I make mistakes. Shango sits and Shango will meditate for 10 days before he will kill you. Because Shango wants to make sure that as the most skilled warrior, okay, that he's doing the right thing when he takes you out. He doesn't want to make that mistake, so he sits back and he waits. Because he's made the mistakes before. I said all that to say that my criticism of the Dolton trustees is just that. The fact that it would be taken personal is a problem, and it's not mine.
I would like to say, Trustee House is probably talking about me. We did have that conversation earlier, and my take on is it's good with the residents, it's good with me. Again, we work for you, so collectively, is what the residents want, is the way, the direction that this board is going. Thank you.
Does anyone have any criticism of that? I know professionally we're taught this triangle where you give the good, the bad, and then wrap it up with some good. I'm not at work. This is my hobby. So I'm going to say it the way I need to say it. Trustee Tammy Brown said, and I understand her heart, she said if it's good with the residents, it's good with me. But I've had some issue because this is, okay, although this is a democracy, it's also a republic, okay? You were elected to do a job for the residents. You were elected to make some decisions for the residents. You have more information than they have, all the way around. So if it's good for them, it's good for you. It's not necessarily the best attitude when you're an elected official to make decisions. Okay? It's a very politician speak way of making sure you get reelected, but it's not necessarily the smartest thing to do. Okay? Because you didn't talk to the residents before you paid 5-star $850,000 to do the concrete at the ice skating rink and the roller skating rink because he threatened to sue. You didn't call the residents or call a meeting and say, hey, should we go ahead and do this? No, you decided to do it. Excuse me. So it's not necessarily if it's good with the residents, it's good for us. The residents are trusting you to make a smart decision. And the resident, because you guys can't tell us everything. There's a lot that y'all know that we don't know. And obviously you decided to go ahead and make this vote before the residents got up to speak. Otherwise, Lori Lightfoot wouldn't even be here. And I didn't hear any trustees ask Lori Lightfoot any questions. Not one. 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 Not one goddamn question. So any questions that were asked of her were off the record. Any questions that Kiana Belcher, Tammy Brown, Brittany Norwood, Jason House asked of Lori Lightfoot were off the record. None of them were on the record. None of their answers or their questions were on the record. So how did we come to this decision to choose Lori Lightfoot? Can you walk us through it? Maybe Tammy Brown, can you, because my criticism is for you right now. You said the right thing, but that's not the right attitude to have when you're in leadership. This is a democracy, but at some point it becomes a republic. And I was lucky when I was in high school. My parents sent me to public school for the first time ever, and they put me in these regular classes where kids acted a fool. And I went home and told my mama something ain't right because these kids ain't acting academic, and went up to the school and found out that because of my zip code, they had placed me in a certain track of learning. Well, come to find out, my parents bought that house in the zip code to do ministry work, not to necessarily raise their children according to the culture of the neighborhood. So what you need to do is either test this child or talk to her parents before you decide to place her in a tract of learning. So of course my parents went down there, asked all the questions, and found out it was because of our zip code that they placed me in these classes. So my parents had me placed in honors courses. So as soon as I got into honors courses, I noticed a different atmosphere. The same exact teachers that taught regular classes taught completely different in honors courses. Well, one of those things we got to learn about was the different styles of government. Freshman year, history, I'll never forget her. She taught us about the making of America and the different styles of government. And I took issue with it. And even to this day, it makes me emotional. Because when I learned our country had been founded on such deception, and she taught it very clearly in 1994. She said this country has the model of a democracy, but it's actually a republic. And to the republic for which it stands. She broke this down in my honors history course, freshman year. She said a republic means, and one of the names I remember is Brown. He was one of the founders of the republic in America. A republic means that people agree that they're not that smart. So they've elected officials to make some of those decisions for them. The elected officials are privy to certain information, have a certain subset of experience, and are able to make good decisions for the democracy. How come the people in this room don't know that? How come the people in this room think that because this is a democracy, they make the decisions? How come they don't actually know that this is actually a republic built inside of a democracy, and that's the way government works? So when we say if it's good with the government, if it's good with the residents, it's good with me. That's not the. I mean, of course, maybe you say that over the mic, but you didn't let the residents vote. You didn't hold a vote for the residents to vote. They told you based on their comments they weren't good with it. You acknowledged that they weren't smiling. You know they not happy with this shit. You gonna put some sugar on top of it and make them take it. My daddy used to come in my bedroom at night when I would cough real bad. He was old school. My daddy was born in 1945. We didn't keep much over-the-counter medicine in the house, okay? So my daddy would come in my bedroom at night and give me a spoonful of salt. I hated it, but that cough got cut. I didn't hear the residents get an opportunity to take a vote. I saw you let about 5 or 6 residents get up and speak, but I did not see you take a vote. Raise your hand if you like it. Put your hand down if you don't. And we gonna move forward from that. If it's good with the residents, actually find out. Y'all know these residents ain't here for this. You know they don't trust her. You know they don't like her. They trust you. I had to make that criticism. Love it or hate it. I have no idea what's about to happen now.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. My name is Stanley.
I think this is going into the citizens address portion, which will be handled legally. Citizens address means, and on the books of Dolton's charter, thank you, Valeria Stubbs, for bringing it to light. It is ordinance number 19011. I believe I did go back and look at the ordinances of Dolton. They are available online, and I do believe it is 19-011. If it's not, Miss Valerie, please correct me. I know it starts with 19 something, but it's an ordinance that states that the people of Dolton are given 3 minutes to speak and address the body and receive answer. It is a question and answer portion. The cowardly lion called Tiffany Henyard. It's so funny that she wears that orange wig. Cause I'm a mean old lion. Listen, bitch ass nigga. The cowardly lion Tiffany Henyard shortened it to she still keeps it sometimes at 3 minutes, but she doesn't allow it to be question and answer. And we know why, because she's full of shit anyway. But I believe that's what this portion is. So we'll see the attorneys leaving.
Dolton residents for 3 years now. And I would like to ask, y'all mentioned about the commissioners earlier. Could y'all bring them up so I can know who they are?
I'll ask Park District Commissioners, please come forward if your heart so desires. One of our constituents is seeking presence. Okay. Yeah, I see. Yeah. Any Park District Commissioners, if you'd like to come forward, we do have a resident that just wants to make sure we give acknowledgement. Or if it's okay, I'll call them out and wave. That'd be fine for you.
Yes, sir.
All right. We got President Jones in the very back. He waved his hand there. I see Commissioner Kyle Rochelle. I see Commissioner Sandra Wells.
And which department is one of them?
That's this park district here. So it's not a department. They're over the entire. They govern the entire park district.
I want to know who the water commissioner and all. Well, I want to make a resolution or something.
Yeah, I'm wondering what that has to do with anything either. But let me say this while I'm talking, because he ain't talking about shit. That just seemed like a distracting question that had nothing to do with nothing. Let me say this. So I mentioned in one of the most recent episodes of this series, I think it was number 1. I mentioned that they were probably going to pay her $400,000. Y'all, it was 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And I had too much coffee and not enough sleep. And I said 400,000. I listened to it a couple times. My baby corrected me, and she's only 6. 40,000 was what they would have paid her for about 100 hours worth of work, which makes sense. You know, I usually pay my attorneys 10 hours at a time. That's how I pay my attorneys, 10 hours at a time. And they do cost $400 an hour. I pay my attorneys $400 an hour as well. They charge it, they get it, they got it. Okay, I just got some communication from my attorney yesterday. We're working on something big, something spectacular. I'm telling you, treat me bad. I know how to get back. Listen, I don't fight. I don't argue. I just hit that bitch with a lawsuit. Okay? So I understand the cost of attorneys because I pay mine as well. But they paid her $30,000 up front. So that would have paid for about 90 hours worth of work. And I'm going back to the Lori Lightfoot thing just because I don't know what the fuck this nigga's talking about. No disrespect, nigga. They paid her $30,000, so they paid her for about 90 hours worth of work. Now, apparently, this first investigation is supposed to be 60 days. But even if we're clocking regular bank hours, that's not 90 hours. 60 days would be about 320 hours. If we're clocking bank hours, 40 hours a week, no weekends, blah, blah, blah. We're talking about 320 hours because there's 160 hours in a work month. So I don't know where that other, 230 hours is going to go. Maybe it's pro bono. If she can get this done in 90 hours, she better than the feds for real. And at $30,000, that's a steal. But we'll see. Anyway, let's let him continue to find out who the board commissioner and the president of the Dolton Park District is. Couldn't he just walked around to the back of the room and asked somebody? Fucking.
To say, I get a water bill every 3 months, okay? But I don't know if this resonates with everybody, but we pay water bills, and you have people come and read your meter. Why do I get a letter telling me to read my own meter? I don't understand that. I'm paying you to read my meter, and my water bill is high as, it's only 2 people living in my home. But we are a working community. I work every Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. They work the same hours. I'm not at home to come in for you to let you in my house. Why don't they have somebody on Saturdays from 7 to 12 or something? I don't understand.
Okay, so 2 things. Come on, sir, don't leave me. I'm about to give you an answer. So, if you do have an estimated water bill, we do have an ordinance that says that they should enter your house once a year. So if you're not available, then you should try to schedule a weekend estimate so someone can come in, because there is an ordinance that says once a year. If you do have an absurd water bill, after this meeting you want to stay and speak to me, then we'll get your information and try to get it handled, okay?
Thank you.
Now that is how Tiffany Henry, because I know you watching, dumb bitch. This is how citizens address should be done. A guy asked a question. It seemed like a really dumbass question at first because he was asking some irrelevant shit. But then he went into what's important. They allowed him to ask his question. Trustee Kiana Belcher addressed his question and volunteered to meet with him personally afterwards. Now, Keith Freeman, this one's for you. Dr. Nikki Cloud said that someone came into the water department years ago, had a crazy ass water bill, didn't make any sense. And someone had taught Dr. Nikki how to audit the bill. So Dr. Nikki, because she's a woman of excellence and a woman of answers, and truly did come here to do work, not just sponge off the taxpayer dollar. She's still working for Dolton, okay? And she's not even on the payroll. Dr. Cloud found $3,000 that the village owed this woman. Dolton, anybody from Dolton who's listening to this, shout outs to you. Please hear what I'm saying. Dr. Cloud went to Keith Freeman and requested that all the water bills be audited because they found out that there was one clerk entering the bills wrong. One. Keith Freeman said, no, we are not going to do a mass audit of the bills because I don't want to pay out all that money. He said, when they come in, we'll deal with it. So if there is a way, and I know now Village Hall is locked and all that shigamarole, mimamaju. I get it. Long Island Audit went up there and blew up the spot like he did on Tuesday and got Village Hall shut down. And he hasn't even apologized to y'all yet, as Shay so eloquently mentioned on the Real Late Night Crew. Long Island audit, whose government name is Sean something, hasn't even apologized to the people of Dolton that he was the reason why your mayor shut down the village hall. He hasn't acknowledged it at all. I think he thinks it's a badge of honor. But he lives in a different culture than we do, so his experiences have been different. To him, this shit is cool. It's a thrill. Well, I don't ride on roller coasters because I'm black. And the police ride behind me all the time to check my tags. Find out it's in my name and I own it, bitch. And it's insured, bitch. The police ride behind me all the time trying to figure out who this little woman is driving this big car. Been done it. My experience is completely different. So to get Village Hall shut down is a completely different experience for the people who live in Dolton. Versus the one auditor with a YouTube channel who came in and blew up the spot. But get your water bill audited, people of Dolton, because Keith Freeman knows there's a problem. He's aware. He's been aware of it for years.
Good evening. My name is Cara Wilson. I'm the mother of Alexis Wilson, killed by Dolton police. And as you've heard, a running theme has been fear of the police. And on that evening, my daughter feared the police. She ran, and they killed her. The unedited body cam still has not been released. The only thing that's been released is an edited body cam that they tried to spin a narrative on. I'd love to have that whole body cam released to the public. I think that there needs to be an audit of that. Those officers struck my daughter within 52 seconds, 2 punches to her face. And in one video I've seen, it looks like he punched her with his flashlight in his hand. After the 2 punches, she took off. But as she was taking off, there was a cop entering the right side of my vehicle. As that car takes off, both vehicle doors are closed. As the news, the mayor, and the police reported that she aimed her car at cops. She drugged 2 cops, that she was shot by the cop that she was trying to hit. None of which was true. None of it was true. In 3 minutes, that child had 7 bullets in her. 2 in her head and 5 down her side. He executed her from my passenger seat. He wasn't hanging out of anything. You can see that in the video, but people still look at the edited video and find fault with the way she acted that evening. She was a 19-year-old girl defending herself. She had every right to do so. So I'd really like to have that. I've tried the FOIA request and I've never gotten anything back, and I know that's not your fault. Those are being blocked. But I'd like to have that whole body cam released, and I'd like an audit of that body cam. Thank you.
So that's the justice. Okay, let me write that down. Body cam released and unedited. I went back and read my emails with Miss Cara Wilson yesterday because I've asked the questions, what is justice? What does it look like? And that's it. Okay, body cams released and unedited body cam. Okay. That's a lawyer. That's the HB 27 thing right now. And I did see the video that she's mentioning. The passenger doors were closed. So how was Alexis dragging a police officer? The police officer is outside the car. The door's closed. There was so much about that situation was wrong. And Long Island audit, listen very closely, honey, because we're coming back to you now. We don't live in the same world. A woman got upset with me, and out of my own knowing how to behave on vacation, I apologized to this woman for upsetting her. But she couldn't understand why I don't go into Mexico. I'm a black woman by myself. I'm definitely not taking my child in. We're not on a tour. We're not on an excursion. I'm not with a guide. I'm not just walking through Ensenada by myself. She couldn't understand why. And then she finally said, "'Cause you're black?" I said, "Yeah." "What? I'm Jewish." I said, ma'am, what? That's a religion. You could take that off and put it on when you get ready to, honey. Your skin is still very much white, baby. And she got offended. Her husband beat her with a napkin. I was grateful, but I still went up to her, apologized, because I don't ever want to have an uncomfortable experience. If you've ever traveled on a cruise, you know that you are enclosed with 5,000 people for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 90 days. And the last thing you want is to see the same person again and there be tension. So I went over to her like I know I should. I knelt down like I was talking to a child, and I apologized for an uncomfortable conversation, and then we had a beautiful conversation after that. And every time we saw each other, it was a beautiful conversation after that. But man, that lady just couldn't understand why I wouldn't go into Mexico by myself. Bitch, we don't live in the same world. Alexis Wilson, if she had been a white girl, it would have been understandable that she got upset. When the guy called the police and said, I'm not going back over there because I don't want to get shot, that didn't mean she had a gun. He didn't say she had a gun. He said, I'm not going back over there because I don't want to get shot. Now, that was very extra. It was racially focused. Please know that when you call the police on black people, you calling in a death call. Please know that. Long Island audit. Karen. When you call the police on black people, you are using... I think there's a suspicious vehicle in the parking lot. I'm concerned. Shut the fuck up, nigga. You in an area full of black people who are just said they scared of the police. And you gonna goddamn call the police? Dumbass? What world do you fucking live in? Not ours. We don't live in the same world. That would not have happened if Alexis Wilson was white. It doesn't happen when Alexis Wilson is white. We've seen several videos of people going off at the drive-thru, and they didn't get killed by the police. And why in all the times you guys have had Miss Cara Wilson say this on camera, it's never made it to the news. This is probably the second time I've seen her account this murder in a public setting on camera. I've seen it twice in a virtually public setting. Not one of those times could the mainstream media have picked it up. You picked up her soundbite that said, I wouldn't trust this woman if she was standing on a stack of Bibles with her tongue notarized, but you never said, and that was the mother of Alexis Wilson killed by Dolton police. You never did. You didn't do right by her. You haven't done right by her. It's okay to say you got it wrong. You guys allowed Raekwon Borum. You said Raekwon Borum killed Justin Carr. Raekwon Borum wasn't even there. I know that because Justin Carr died at my feet. And when them shots went off, nobody ran away. Y'all won't say the Charlotte police killed Justin Carr. You won't say it. So you let a man go to prison for a crime he never committed. I sat next to a news reporter who tried to spin the tale and say Raekwon Borum was drunk when he shot Justin Carr. And I leaned over to that nigga who was 73 years old, so his phone type was in 85 font, so I could read clearly what he said. And I leaned over to him and I said, well, I see what you just sent to your boss. You know that's not right. We just sat here and watched this pre-trial, and they never ever said nothing about alcohol, intoxication, inebriation, or none of that. So when you send this to the news paper, you better get it right. You better get it right. I saw that shit. Later that day, that same nigga emailed me trying to get a statement about the situation. I'm the bitch you were sitting next to in court today, dumbass. Stupid. You didn't know that. You gonna ask me for a statement. I'm the hoe you was sitting next to today. He died at my fucking feet. I ain't giving you shit because I see how you write the news. Talking about he might have been inebriated when he shot Justin Carr. He wasn't even there. It pisses me off because I go hard for the media when it comes to getting good news. But I'm also going to hold the media accountable, the mainstream media. Because there has not been, I've seen O'Shea Duke Jackson and I've seen the real late night crew give Cara Wilson space to speak. Uninterrupted, unedited about what happened that night. I have not seen Regina Waldrop or Dame Placco or that other dude that was crying. Somebody get Cheddar in the corner. Let's get a witness testimony. I haven't seen y'all go to her, and she's been in the same room with you several times. Regina was at this meeting. Regina Waldrop, you were at this meeting. You ran right up to Jason's house at the very end. You were there when she spoke at the Village of Dolton. You were standing in the back with the media. You were there when she said this. How come you guys haven't talked to her? If you listening to me, which I don't know if you are, but in the atmosphere you are, because we are one supreme consciousness.
Good evening, everyone. Sherry Britton, 25-year resident. The board knows I'm passionate about Keith Freeman. I know it's hard to do something with the mayor/supervisor, but these employees, as ignorant as some of them are, today, even calling Village Hall, the phones were disconnected. This is not the first time that's happened. They want you to pay your bills. They send you these crazy water bills, like the gentleman was saying. You couldn't even call this morning to try to make arrangements to pay the crazy water bills. But again, I think that we need to start pursuing something to do something about these employees, specifically Keith Freeman. He has access to employees, residents, records, finding I was a former employee, so he has access to my personnel file. You can't trust people like that. What are we doing? I mean, last week's board meeting when everybody was standing outside, I was outside. That's crazy. What are we doing? Has anybody talked to them about that? What's going on with that? With Lacey violating Ms. Hill's rights and just all types of stuff. I mean, what is the conversation? Has there been any? What's going on with all of that stuff? As far as, like, they just did it and nothing. I mean, it's like the police, they're just outraged. I mean, it's like, Jesus Christ, come on now. Something has to give. I mean, it's bad enough we can't do anything about her, but we should be able to do something about them. Everybody is replaceable. You can't tell me that Keith Freeman, not a village employee, or the 1099, whatever it is, you can't tell me you can't do anything about it. He could just come in. I don't care if he's appointed every week, if he's fired, or somebody needs to go public and say he needs to be gone. It just hasn't happened. Same thing they did with Dorothy Brown needs to happen with him. At least say it, because this is ridiculous.
I can say for myself, and I'll see the other board members, I am not a fan of if you go to the board meetings, you sit there and you'll even watch staff and the way that they speak to elected officials on the board. So I feel that anybody that disrespectful should be terminated and gone. Legislatively, hiring and firing is not within our purview, which is where we run into a lot of challenges. We have some of the items that were listed on here that we just overrode the veto. We will see if there's any relief, and we say relief because a lot of times that comes through court, and we try to do a cost benefit to see if it's worth going through that process to do it to go to take it a step further. But I think I know Trustee Tammy Brown has made some very vocal statements as well, and I think the majority of them want to speak on it. Feel have a second to it.
Yeah, because he's got to go. We can't do a whole year with him in that position. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Let me just speak about that real quick. Excuse me. Excuse me. So with Keith Freeman, for those who don't know, there are people who are new to this channel, this story every single day. And I'm one of the smaller channels covering this story, but there's people every day who tell me this is the first time they've watched. So let me just let you know. Keith Freeman is he works as the administrator of the village of Dolton. He's also an administrator in Thornton, at Thornton Township. Now, the village of Dolton is a village in Dolton. It's a village in Illinois, in the county of Cook. Thornton Township is a public assistance center for the 17 villages in the south suburb of Chicago. So Thornton Township is not a town or a city. It's a government building. They call it a township, but it's a government building that provides the welfare services, the public assistance for the 17 villages in the township, in the area, in the suburb. Basically, there's so many poor people in those 17 areas, but there's 17 small villages. So instead of going to different welfare offices, back in the day they called it welfare. I don't call it anything different. Some people call it public assistance. I call it welfare. Back in the day, you went to a welfare office in your area, in your town. Now everybody goes to Thornton Township. And Thornton Township is actually located in South Holland, Illinois. South Holland is one of the villages, okay? It's one of the nicer villages. So Thornton Township is actually in South Holland. So there's two police departments we're dealing with, South Holland Police and Dolton Police. Well, South Holland Police haven't been an issue. They have not violated anybody's First Amendment rights from what I can see so far. They've tried diplomatically, but they have not. Dolton actually has. And when we talk about Keith Freeman, we're talking about both Thornton Township, which is the Public Assistance Center, the Welfare Office, and Dolton. Now, the phones were disconnected. That's crazy to me. Now, Keith Freeman did mention an increase in $80,000 in the phone bills with AT&T. And AT&T does have some high-ass phone bills. High ass. I mean, I paid $900 a month for about 6 devices to be with AT&T. And I was like, this is retarded. I did it for months. And then I went to a different plan, a different service. I was like, this is crazy. But the phones are disconnected. So that means the bills aren't being paid. I wonder if the phones are disconnected today. Hold on. Let me get my phone. Today is Friday. Let me see. Let me see if I can call anybody down there. I don't even know. Let's see, Village of Dolton. God damn, they charge people for everything. I don't know why y'all don't leave Dolton. Like, for real. Living in Dolton is like living on a fucking trailer park. Let me see.
How can I help you?
Oh, thank you for calling. I had heard recently that your phones were disconnected. So I was just calling to see if they were on. Thanks for confirming. Have a great day. All right, bye-bye. All right, yep, so the phones are on. Looks like the phones are back on. Maybe they turned them off for that day on purpose. I don't know. Looks like the phones are on. Today is Friday, April 12th. It is 8:23 a.m. I think I'm Pacific time. I think I'm still Pacific time. I live in Arizona, so we never know what time zone we're in. We just know what time it is. But it's 8:23 my time, which I think it's about 10:23, maybe 11:23 in Dolton, and the phones are on. So maybe the phones are on Friday because they know people get paid and they want that money. Who knows? But anyway, now I want us to remember something based on what I understand. I have to go back and look at the video. But if I understand correctly, so Dorothy Brown was originally the administrator. She is from what people say, she is a corrupt politician. Tiffany Henyard brought her in as a temporary administrator, okay, at $100,000 a year, which is more than anybody makes. From what I understand, this role makes about $45,000, okay. So at about $100,000 a year, Dorothy Brown was brought in. The board and the people pushed, we got to get a different administrator because nobody wanted her. She was supposed to be temporary, okay? So then Tiffany Henyard's attorney, I forget her name. I know her last name is Raines, Raines. She actually bought her position with Tiffany. She donated to Tiffany's campaign, and so Tiffany made her attorney. She was the one who recommended Keith Freeman. Tiffany Henyard's attorney, who fired herself because she couldn't stand working with Tiffany Henyard anymore. She resigned from being Tiffany Henyard's attorney. Tiffany Henyard's attorney, who bought her position by campaigning to Tiffany Henyard's campaign fund, recommended Keith Freeman. That was her friend. So the corrupt attorney, yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are, bitch. Yes, you did participate in corruption. Yes, you did participate in extortion. Yes, you did participate in pay to play. You wanted to be her attorney so bad, you gave to her campaign fund. Yes, you did, Shauna Raines. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You recommended Keith Freeman. Her husband does something in government. He's like a senator or a speaker of the House or something. I don't know. He's got a very high position in Illinois government. I believe your name is Shauna Raines. If not, that's for your protection. But I'll never forget your forehead and your beady eyes and the way you lied to the board of trustees over and over and over and over again. And you sat there while they muted their mics and you never said a word about the Open Meetings Act 1, 2, 3, and 4. Shauna Raines, you have participated in some corruption and some lies. Spinning words, not giving the whole ordinance. Shauna Raines, if that's your name, you recommended Keith Freeman. That's your friend. You called Keith Freeman. Damn. Birds of a feather, huh? Birds of a feather. There's a scripture in the Bible my dad used to quote to me all the time. And then after I became a licensed preacher, and I was part of the ministerial staff of a church, we used to quote the scripture to each other back and forth. Bad company corrupts good something. I forgot what you say, Daddy. Hold on. Let me get it again. Bad company corrupts good something, but it has to do with hanging out with the wrong people. If y'all remember it, put it in the chat. Let me know. But the scripture basically has to do with hanging out with the wrong people. It was Tiffany Henyard's whack-ass attorney who recommended whack-ass Keith Freeman. Now, when Keith Freeman was brought in, he was voted in by the board because those appointments are voted. I saw the meeting when Pete McCain was voted to be fire chief. Those positions are voted in by the board. And Keith Freeman was voted in contingent upon a background check. Now, have y'all ever been offered a job contingent upon a background check? Yes. And then they did the background check. And if the background check wasn't good, you didn't get hired. And if the background check was good, you got hired. But the trustees, who I am criticizing in this moment, get it ready now. I'm criticizing the trustee. Don't do that now. The trustees used poor judgment and they agreed to bring Keith Freeman in without that background check secured. To this day, trustees, have any of you seen his background?
Good evening, residents. My name is Gerald Williams. I'm a 35-year resident of Dolton. How did we get here? Let's talk about the election. During the primary, Tiffany won by, 103 votes? 120. We got to do better when it comes to elections as far as coming out.
Yeah.
You know, we got 20,000 people in Dolton. We had 8,000 people that voted? Not even 8,000 people. We have to do better. And with Tiffany, you got to do your homework. Look at her when she was a trustee. She had property here that should not have even been occupied. But who does she know in the village that gave her an occupancy registration to put somebody in the house? Okay? She went on Roland Martin, and he asked her, would she be open to an investigation? And she said, yeah. Anything that would help her clear her name, and what does she do? She goes and she vetoes it. So, you know, we got to come out and vote more as a community. Because we got 21,000 and 8,000 people, and y'all falling for it, we got to do better. That's all I got to say.
Okay, let me finish that sentence for you. You got to go out and vote for people who deserve your vote. Okay, so the way Tiffany Henry became mayor was because she literally was the last person left on the ballot. The only other person left had just had a stroke. Okay, now, was that person a good candidate too? No. He was a sitting mayor, and he was corrupt as well, from what I understand. So let's stop blaming the victim, okay? People died for all right to vote. Yeah, but where the candidates at? Where the candidates at? Where are the fucking good candidates to vote for? Why do I have to eat a rotten egg just because? Why does a person have to be placed in a position where they're blamed for the candidate that's in office, not the candidate being blamed for being the candidate? Not the mayor being blamed for who the fuck she is. We can't keep telling people you got to get out and vote when there's no candidate to vote for. You really want people to choose the lesser of two evils? How can you ask people to choose which one is less evil when they both bad? You had Riley and Hinyard. Riley, who stole $4 million and wouldn't answer to what was on a warrant list, and Hinyard, who we see followed Riley's pattern and to the exponents. All of the exponents. Like 12 of them. Okay? You gotta stop blaming the victim. Y'all need to leave Dolton. Leave them bitches there by themselves. He's talking to a room full of voters. He's preaching to the fucking choir. Who did the people have to choose from in that election? Tell me one of them. Jason House didn't want to run yet. He said he didn't think he was ready. And he's still having to do the work. Who did the people have to choose from? And why did the trustees endorse her? Kiana Belcher? Jason House? Why did you endorse her? Why did you stand behind her? Why did you sell her vision to the community? In her words. Her words. Tiffany Henyard said, y'all sold her vision to the community. Why did you do that? I'm not a rhetorical question type of bitch. Why did you endorse her? Why is this man sitting here talking to people who aren't even in the room, who didn't vote, instead of talking to the trustees who encouraged people to vote?
Good evening, Gallagher with the company Gallagher Asphalt, here just today to talk about a stack of invoices that we have to the city. And I'm sorry if I missed that early on, if it got voted on, but we've been doing work for Dolton for about 95 years, and I feel like we've always been a very good partner at Dolton, and just looking for that reciprocation back to us as well. So 2023, the street resurfacing program, we still got $615,000 hanging out. Granted, I think a lot of that is coming from the Cook County. So we'd just like to know when that might be paid, and then also for all the full patch repairs. I think that's about $12,000, $13,000 now. That we would like to keep supplying to help the streets of Dolton. So.
If I can, I'll find the specific ones. Your invoices have been approved by the Board of Trustees already. That was, as I read off the list of people that were not approved because they were not in the budget, your invoices have been approved. I believe most recently there were a couple of them that were approved today, but the previous invoices have been approved months ago. Okay. I'll get you the specific dates if you want to after the meeting. If you can stick around, I'll find out what those dates are. And then also, when a lot of times when vendors do email, I'll forward that email over to the finance director, the village administrator, the mayor's office, specifying when the bill has been approved, which month and year, and then that way ask them to probe a little bit deeper, and it also gives you documentation that it's been processed, approved by the board, and assist in your efforts to demand payment.
Okay. I appreciate it. Good luck. Thank you.
That nigga said good luck. He don't live in Dolton. He lives somewhere the fuck else. Do you hear me? He lives somewhere else. He's not so committed to being black and being in a black town that he's going to stay in a place that ain't right. He's going to where it's better, regardless of what he's committed to as far as race in his heart. I'm just speaking as if this man were a black man. He's not staying in Dolton because it's a black city with a west side and a south side, but no north side and no east side. He said, I'm getting my ass out of here and I'm going home. He getting in his F-150 and he going home. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry. I know where I'm at. They Chevy people. He getting in his Chevy Tundra and he going home. That's one thing I hated about living up north, man. You got to buy certain cars because of the factories. It's a very thick factory culture. So you don't buy certain vehicles because the factories pay the people who live in the area. So you're not going to be around here driving no Nissan when everybody around there work for the Chevy factories. You just not going to be, it may not be safe. If you know what I know, because people done got their windows busted before driving the wrong brand of car when they live or work near a whole bunch of factory workers of a certain brand. It was only okay to drive Mercedes-Benz in Toledo, remember, in around 2000, 2002, when they started making them. When the Jeep factory started making Mercedes-Benz, that's when it became okay to drive a Mercedes-Benz in Toledo. Prior to that, you better be driving you a Jeep, Chrysler, something. Okay. Daimler took over Mercedes-Benz, and then all of a sudden it was okay to drive a Benz. It wasn't considered a foreign car anymore. But I don't drive domestic. I'm not a domestic girl. There's only one vehicle I will drive as a domestic, and that's a pickup truck. And that's because I love a good old F-150. I used to have one. She was red. Her name was Kim for Keep It Moving, bitch. I sold her with 300,000 miles. Sure did. Sold her to move to China for cash, bitch. That was my girl, Kim. That's why I got a special heart for old Raggedy Kim over there at the Code Enforcement Department and her ponytail. But this man's bills were approved months ago. I was going to say Gallagher Asphalt. We haven't heard that name before. 7 invoices right now. We talking about $628,000 that has been approved. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is the money? I'm going to start calling Tiffany money gone. Nobody knows me like you do. I'm telling you. Just start calling her money gone. $628,000 that has been approved to be paid. Where is it? Where's the money? Damn. That nigga said good luck. So he said he thinks a lot of that has been approved and it should be found in the Cook County Fund. So Tiffany, you stealing money out the county fund too? I guess she said we gonna go. We might as well go hard.
Good luck to you. Right. Come on, sister. Miss.
Man, that man don't need no luck. Let me tell you something about that $628,000. Y'all ain't his only client.
Taking her up.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
There we go.
Good evening, everyone. I want to, first of all, thank the residents for coming out. We have been fighting for the last 3 years. I want to thank the trustees and the clerk for the awesome job that you do. And I have a question because I'm tired of getting phone calls telling me that they're being harassed by the police. I've been harassed by Mr. Lace too. But I can deal with Mr. Lacy just like Miss Lori Lightfoot said that she knows some things, I know some things. So my question to you guys is, Sylvester Baker, what's his role?
He's an investigator for the police department.
And who do he investigate?
So, he was hired to investigate everybody in the municipality. But when he was brought up before, because there was an issue that came about, which we can't say because it was personnel, he was told, and I have an email that said he only investigates the police department. But they kind of been using him back and forth to halfway investigate whatever they need them to at the time.
So my thing of it is, if you go to work every day, and this is especially for the men, you go to work every day, and at the end of 2 weeks, you come home without a paycheck, what do your wife do? She puts you out. So my same sentiment is to Sylvester Baker. If Sylvester Baker, and I know we go back a long way, but you know, enough is enough, and if you're not doing your job, then that's another one that needs to be put on the list too, so we can save that money so we can pay Miss Lightfoot. Thank you.
Dang it. Oh my God, I didn't expect to hear this. Oh my God, I wasn't ready because I started my notes completely different. Oh, let me start by saying this. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm stretching. Somehow last night I fell asleep on my sofa, and I don't have a very comfortable sofa. It's more aesthetic than it is pleasing. Last night when I was watching part 1, the meeting minutes 1 through Patreon, I actually fell asleep on the sofa, and now my back hurts. So anyway, I want to just mention something. I saw Actual Justice Warrior, and sometimes the tough part about doing this job that I do, this hobby that I have of facilitating this breakdown crew, is that oftentimes what comes under our radar are other YouTube creators. That was tough because I was really a supporter of Sean Davy Way, and I would tolerate official King Payne until they started getting in with Jaguar Wright and supporting her bullshit. Then I had to start breaking them down and calling them out, and then they stopped. Good for them. I'm still laughing. Official King Payne said I look like a naked mole rat. I thought that was fucking hilarious. My girlfriend and I laughed about that. So I heard Actual Justice Warrior the day one of his first episodes about Tiffany Henyard. He went in on Tiffany Henyard in a really inappropriate, very racist way. And then went on to call this lady Valeria Stubbs. And I was like, so you can insult and offend and use racial slurs toward a black woman correctly, but you can't pronounce another black woman's name correctly? That's because there's a cultural disconnect. Because all you choose to know about black culture is what you just said. The words you just used about Tiffany Henyard. That's all you choose to know. But you don't even know how to pronounce these names. So he called her Valeria Stubbs, which is what she would have been called if this was Harry Potter. Her name is Valeria Stubbs. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Shut your fucking trap if you can't say this woman's name right. Stop using all the other slurs if you can't pronounce this woman's name right. And that came back up in my mind again when Long Island Audit called the police because he was curious about the tags on the Tahoe and the BMW that Tiffany Henyard is leasing with taxpayer dollars. Was that the time to do it? In a packed house full of black people with their own cars in the parking lot and all kinds of other stuff happening around you right now. What that dumbass didn't know, or according to what I saw on the Real Late Night Crew, is the police station was actually across the street and they never came for his white ass. And he was like, the police haven't come. And I was like, what? Welcome to our world, nigga. He called the police. I'm worried. There's a suspicious vehicle at the township. I just need you to come investigate. And he was surprised they didn't come. How many times, raise your hand, black people. How many times have you called the police and they never showed up? Raise your hand. How many times have you had to call the police and be like, hi, I was calling because there's a suspicious guy walking down the street and, I only have blonde hair and blue eyes, so I can't really see very well. And I was hoping maybe you guys could come check it out. How many times have you black people had to call the police and put on that voice to get them to come and assist you for whatever it was? I had to put on the white voice just to get animal control to come and get some rabbits out my yard. Because I accidentally mowed over them with my lawnmower. And I needed them to come get the rabbits while my dog prayed for him with his sweet self. Look. We don't live in the same world. The fact that man called her Valeria Stubbs, but used all those racial slurs against Tiffany Henyard, and the fact that Long Island Audit got an issue with the police, so he called them to come to a building full of black people, lets you know that there's a cultural disconnect. And that's why I put the gates up at the barbecue at the beginning of the show. Anyway, I did not know there was a new character. Well, he obviously ain't new because he go way back with Valerie Stubbs. Sylvester Baker, the investigator. Now, I remember the vote when Collins and Henyard tried to bring in an inspector to inspect the police, and the trustees saw through it and they didn't bring it through. But I must have missed the meeting after that where they voted him in. So he's apparently supposed to be like IA, like internal affairs, but they use him to do other investigations, but apparently he ain't found nothing. So it's time for him to go.
Good evening.
Good evening. My concern is the village departments, like the water department. I live on the street. Every time it rains tremendously, the street floods and look like a river. That's been going over 10 years. When I first moved down here, it was mostly the village and all the workers were Caucasian. They came out and flushed the sewers so the water would go down, because if you don't flush the sewer, so that's the water department. I have not seen that done in over 10 years. My concern are the water department employees and their accountability, and who makes them accountable and doing their work, because we pay our taxes and our village fees for those services. Secondly, our streets, we get bumps, but we don't have lines. We have holes that turn, we have cracks that become potholes. Yeah. I live near Dorchester, Kingwood, Avalon. I go southwest, you can ice skate on their streets. So I don't know what department declares that our streets need repair and new pavement and new lines so you know what side you're on. But yet, they have a camera up that says you turned the corner when you didn't turn the corner. That's more important than servicing our village so it doesn't look like we're running down into the alley somewhere. And in fact, in front of my house is a sewer. Then on my side is a sewer. Then I discovered one day going all the way to my back where my hedges, there's another sewer. So I'm really demanding, not asking, demanding, because I've been out here too long too. Flush out, get the sewer workers flushing out those sewers, because I know friends that work at the water reclamation, and that's what you're supposed to do. Have those sewers flush out so our streets don't flood out here. We have heavy downpours. Thirdly, I don't know who's on the police department, but they're rude and they're very disrespectful. I had an incident in my neighborhood. I went over there. The officer told me when I complained, I'll write up a report if you pay me $10. I just walked out. I didn't say anything. Sir, I can write. I have a master's, city certificate, all of this stuff. You don't need to tell a person I'll write the report up if you pay $10. Who's over these departments need to be accountable, and you need to have people that do balance and check. Everybody needs to be checked when you're working for a village and for people. Everyone has to be accountable if they're administration. Thank you. Good evening.
Lori Lightfoot, are you listening to what this woman just said? There go your first witness that you need to interview. This woman just said the police said he would write up a report if she gave him $10. And I've heard before people say they're being charged for police reports in Dolton. That's against the law. Did you hear this woman say back when she moved to Dolton, all the workers were Caucasian and they used to flush the sewer, and now they don't do that anymore? I hate that that's true. But you heard what she said and you know what she said. You know what she said. I'm not going to break that down and unwrap it, because if you heard what she said, you knew what she said. I honestly think Dolton was created to be a ghetto. See, if you understand history, then you understand ghettos. You understand ghettos. Ghetto. When I lived in China, I taught my kids, and it's on YouTube, they sung, Santa, come straight to the ghetto. I had them sing that for Christmas. They didn't know they lived in a ghetto. They didn't know that they lived in an area that was specifically set aside just for them and was supposed to deplete them of all of their financial and socioeconomic power. They did not know that they had been funneled into a place specifically for that purpose. That's what ghettos are. Let's go back to the original word ghetto. A ghetto is a German word, Ghetto. The original ghettos were where prosperous Jews were kept. When their houses were taken, their gold was taken, they were only allowed to do certain jobs, they were depleted of their financial and socioeconomic power. Ghettos. They were removed from their prosperous, beautiful neighborhoods, homes, and areas that they had established, taken out of their banks, taken out of their schools, taken out of their hospitals, taken out of their governments, and they were brought in by gunpoint to a smaller area that was disgusting. Didn't have running water, didn't have proper sewage systems, not the same homes they were used to. But see, let me tell you what happened in America. See, in America, they took you from the ghettos they created in Chicago, in the public housing, like Cabrini Green, where my daddy was. And in the 80s, they moved you to Dolton. They encouraged people to come to Dolton. If you study, now Tiffany, I know you went to college. I know you have a bachelor's degree in business administration from Robert Morris University. And so I know you studied concentric circles, right? In Sociology 101 in your freshman year. I know you did. So I know when you studied concentric circles, you understood how cities use black people to change economic environments so that they can reform that environment later on. Black people are great for lowering property values. So when you have a city like Dolton that was becoming it was becoming unaffordable for white people to live in Dolton. With all the services they offered, the sewer flushing, the beautiful parks, the streets that aren't melting, the properly trained police department, the customer service teams that work so well, that takes a lot of money. And it was becoming unaffordable because Doltonites were not going to allow their taxes to be raised any more than it was. So what happened? They brought some black people in from Chicago. They encouraged them to move to Chicago. I'm not talking about well-to-do black families. No, let's get that out of our head, honey. We're talking about the 80s. Illinois. They brought some niggas from the projects in Chicago. I've seen these plans. I've read the plans. These are 50-year plans. When they built the projects in Chicago, they did the same thing. Go to Cabrini now. Last time I tried to go to Cabrini Green to lay libations from my ancestors, it looks like a completely different area than where my grandfather grew up. His people were put there to lower the property value so white people could later on move in. Then black people were moved out of Chicago to places like Dolton to lower the property value. This is a ghetto at its best. And see, what they don't understand, what these people in this room don't understand, is you were encouraged to go to Dolton for a reason. You thought you were moving out of Chicago to a better area for a better life. No! They were just moving you to a different place to lower the property values. And they never taught you anything about government, infrastructure. Along with that move came no education. Okay? The reason why no one is helping Dolton is because Dolton is moving according to plan.
Hi everyone. I don't know how y'all feel, but I feel good in my soul. I am happy. I've been living here for 20 years, but nobody has ever seen me before. Oh no, I haven't seen none of you guys before in my life, and I'm right here. I'm a homeowner. I pay my taxes. I am a senior citizen. I'm 67 years old. By the way, I'm J. Jones, so my people on the internet will know who I am. Because they be right there. I'm going to tell y'all something. Please ignore those people on the internet and the YouTubes because they all have their opinions. But they really don't know Dolton. Dolton is a beautiful city. I told a gentleman this before I got in here. I said, what do I want to move for? I might move somewhere from hell. It's everywhere. You have to be thankful, and I want to tell the village of Dolton we are still shining. We might look like we're in the dark, but we're not. Stay strong. Give a good heart and mind. Thank these trustees. Yeah. I love them. Yeah. They are awesome. And they are fighting for us. I stand with you all. Yeah. Call me if you need me. That's right. J. Jones.
Let's go, J. Jones.
Oh, J. Jones, J. Jones, J. Jones, J. Jones. Is it time yet? Is it time? J. Jones, you say ignore the people on the internet, but you in all of our chats. That's all I'm going to say.
Hello, everybody. My name is Monica Maddox, and I live on 144th and Murray, and we need some speed bumps there. There's a apartment complex around the corner from us that you can just speed down my street to get to. And they have loud music and everything. I wanted to know how I get some speed bumps on my block.
Okay, there was, and I'm saying there was an application process for it. The mayor's office had decided to discontinue that
Yeah, because
program.
we did fill out the paperwork when Robert was in office, but then I guess it got thrown away when Henry came.
Yes, so we can do an inquiry, but it's probably pretty doubtful because the administration has not been responding.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
There's a lot of problems in Dolton. You got Jay Jones standing up saying Dolton is beautiful and thriving and lovely, but Monica Maddox is saying, I ain't got no speed bumps. You got another person saying the sewage is blocked up and flooded, but Jay Jones said Dolton looks great. It's doing fine. I'm going to leave you alone, Jay Jones. Shout out to you. I'll see you in the comments. So Monica Maddox wants some speed bumps. Shay from Late Night Crew, can you please send Monica Maddox a link to those speed bumps from Uline? He said they like driving over sidewalks, Jesus. And I guess there was an application process and the administration blocked it. And now they're not even answering questions. I like that Jason House basically was like, with all the stuff going on right now, you want speed bumps? You're welcome.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jedidiah. I'm an advocate mainly in Chicago. I'm located in Texas, and I got a call. I have gotten several calls to come and to assist the people of Dolton. But before I do that, I want to once again, I have been an advocate for over 13 years fighting corrupt government and police departments, and I've never seen the body, the board, and I want to just commend these trustees because last meeting they stood up for the people and they did not allow you all to do this. I was honored to be a part of them. Well, yeah, make no mistake, I didn't just come here and insert myself. I was called, and this is the part that people don't know. Regardless of what's said about me before I came, I prayed. I did not forget the way my parents raised me. No matter where I go in life, God is still in control. And so I want to say this. I don't mean to take y'all to church. I listen to the comments and I listen to the questions. And I just want you all to recognize the moment. Whenever you pray and God said go, that means you're up to something. And when I got involved, I have uncovered things that I think, in my own opinion, that are not lawful, but are also unethical. It would take Ray Charles to see it, as they say, right? So it's just a matter of time. But what I've learned is if you suffer with God, you reign with God. And while you suffer and you calling on God, eventually He's going to respond. Yes, sir. And so as soon as there's a lot of information that I'm going to be unearthing in the coming days. But I want you all to hear me so that we don't mishandle the moment. Lori Lightfoot is going to start work tomorrow, but your work doesn't stop. This is the moment when this is talked about in every crevice of the village. This is the moment when we're not going to go and get to know our neighbor because there will be an election coming up. And I want you all to hear me. This is my personal feeling because I've talked to elected officials, residents, and all kind of people. And I'm not lying to y'all. When most people say, Jedidiah, why are you wasting your time with those people in the dark? Let them handle their situation. Hear me. The Bible says that God will use the foolish thing to confound the wise. And when people think you're insignificant, you are the exact and the perfect candidate for a move that God is behind. And so when I want to say, people saying, well, what happens if she vetoes this? And what happens is that it don't matter what she does because the Bible also says that when 2 or 3 are gathered in agreement, He said, I will be in the midst. So what am I telling y'all? That if you guys begin to organize your block, your community, get in the barbershop, it was a place I learned about today, I think it was Angels. They was up in their happy hour. Let's go to happy hours and talk about the angels. But if you all will begin to organize now, it's only a matter of time. You can't block what a woke, organized people and the guy behind them is trying to do. So what I want to tell y'all today is that a lot of information is getting ready to come up. And we're going to go through the process, but if y'all don't stop, we won't stop. Because everybody who thought Dolton was insignificant and too small to care about, now I see people saying, let's do like the people of Dolton and let's stand up for ourselves. And I want to commend y'all for doing just that.
I don't know what happened to the video. Hold on. Somehow the video froze, but the audio kept going, so whatever. Jedidiah Brown, Lord. It doesn't really matter. I don't have a lot of respect for him. I think that he is an opportunist. I've already done the research on him. I haven't shared all of it, but I have shared what I felt like it. He's a grifter. He's seeking fame in whatever way he can. He's tried to be an activist. Nobody would accept him. He tried to be a preacher, and white folks called him a coon. Nobody would accept him. So he tries to find these little spaces where he can, I think he wants to be, I don't know, famous. But let me just read my notes. He got calls to assist from who? Because that's not how he started. He started saying, see, I keep track of everything. Remember when Jaguar Wright said this was all about Clive Davis? But she had Angela Owusu doing interviews about being R. Kelly and Aaliyah's daughter for $500 a pop. The fuck? He started off saying that someone else was having a protest in Dolton. He never said who, but he was going to assist. He's the only person I've ever heard say there was going to be a protest that day. And was there a protest that day? Not at 5 o'clock. Not at 5:30. The protest started when they wouldn't let them people in them doors after 6:45. So where was this protest with all these blue ribbons and the signs? I never even saw anybody with a sign. The two people with bullhorns came with him. Them two chicks, the two big chicks that looked like the dude from Minion or Despicable Me or whatever, with the bullhorns, they came with him. I've seen this before. He got calls to assist from who? He said he was supporting somebody else's protest and then came in and told them people he came from Texas and he wasn't trying to waste his time and they didn't even listen to what he had to say. And he almost got into a fight with Trina Downs, being disrespectful to her. He didn't even know who she was. Agree with her or disagree with her, there's a certain amount of respect that woman deserves. Number one, because she's a woman. Number two, because she's there. She's a resident. You take second place to her at all times. And for him and her to get in each other's face and him start screaming at her, he called Trina Downs a dumbass, called her ghetto. This man right here had a badge under his jacket the whole time. Walked past police without announcing himself or showing his ID. This man right here. Who were you called by? Who called you in? Who paid for you to be there? I want to see the invoices for the plane. And I know that can be doctored up. I've demanded invoices before from a grifter and got the invoices and they were doctored up. I get it. But I want to see the invoices for your flight. I want to see a time tracker for the time you spent there. Because you came and left. Real quick. Came straight from the airport. And you said you prayed before you came like that was a big deal. Like that was something people would be like, ooh. And they were too. Y'all gotta, come on, man. Come on. Y'all gotta stop being played so easily. Do you realize that before somebody dies, they say, oh God. When your daddy nutted in your mama, he was like, oh, Jesus. Come on, y'all. Everybody prays. You didn't ask him the who. You didn't ask him about what. You didn't ask him what instruction he got back. It ain't really none of our business whether or not he prayed truthfully. He wanted you to know that, to put himself on a certain spiritual plane with you, because he knew Dolton has been looking at him side-eye since the last time he been there. Y'all didn't clap for him when he got up. My thing, I didn't even feel the need to zoom in when he spoke. Let's get Jedidiah over with. For real. My freaking iPad froze wherever he stopped talking, and started wherever it froze. It kept on with the captions though. Bless it. Y'all wasn't feeling this man. He keeps putting himself in your spaces and telling you that you need him, all the while telling you you're a waste of time, you're foolish, you're insignificant, and too small to care about. He gonna have a church in Dolton soon, I'm telling you. He gonna have a church in Dolton soon. He gonna be taking up tithes and offerings in Dolton soon. Mark my words. And it's gonna be a whole bunch of light-skinned boys working for him. He said if you suffer with God, you'll reign with God. Nigga, you was outside. You volunteered to come to a place you didn't have to be. You went inside. Walked past Lacey with a badge under your jacket, a police badge, a gold one. Walked past Lacey and two officers, went inside and walked your Ricky smiling looking ass back out. What you mean if you suffer with God, you'll reign with God? You walked in. They let you in. You didn't have to show ID. You didn't say a word. You said something like, excuse me, had a conversation with Lacey. What we gonna do about them? That's what he said to you. You said, I'm going to get them together. I'm going to get them together. And then went outside and told everybody they was going to cancel the meeting after the Pledge of Allegiance like a liar. And you didn't have no conversation with nobody about that. So we got two faces happening right here. It looked like we dealing with another Gemini. He didn't apologize to Trina Downs for getting in her face and yelling at her and calling her ghetto and dumbass at this meeting right now. Trina, has he apologized to you? If Trina's anything like me, she paid him dust a long time ago. She see him and she don't. She don't. Listen. He has not apologized for disrespecting you guys, getting on the bullhorn, yelling at y'all, arguing with you, standing in front of the door. And he didn't get an interview with Carl Wilson's mama. He could have. He was there. He could have. He said he got a lot of information coming out. Nigga, shut up. Where you get it from? I want to check the chain of possession. Where'd you get the information from? Take me up the grapevine. Where'd you get the information from? Because the last thing you told us was that the current lieutenant of Dolton, who is married, that's the only thing that was important to me. The current lieutenant of Dolton is married to the chief of police of South Holland. That long-headed dude who came out and spoke about Andrew Holmes not getting arrested after Tiffany Henry planted that fake story. Why do you think he even came out and made that statement? What made this situation? I mean, only a few blogs were reporting it. Why did the telling you, this is a tight web. Why did the chief of police of South Holland come out and do a press conference when only a few blogs were reporting that Andrew Holmes was arrested? Tiffany Henry planted that story. Her lieutenant is his wife, who used to be the internal affairs officer, who was sleeping with Chief Collins' son. I mean, some small town shit. That's the tea that this nigga got. That's the tea. That they had sex in the back of a police car. I'm pretty sure a lot of them do. They work together. I used to work for Enterprise. Everybody was fucking. Who is this man? This is Daryl Eugene Coleman. That's who this man is. This is Daryl Eugene Coleman. Born in Chicago, tried to be an activist in Chicago, couldn't cut it. Threatened to kill himself on Facebook Live, didn't do it. So far, he ain't keeping his word. Listen. Went on to Texas, tried to be a preacher. White people called him a coon. So he's come back to Dolton now. What have you done for me lately? What has he done? Let's get to that.
Appreciate all the comments. At this time, I see no one else finished, so that will conclude citizens' comments or citizens' address. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Here, a motion and second. Motion and second. I'll ask clerk Keith for a roll call, please.
Trustee Norwood. Trustee Tammy Brown. Trustee House. Trustee Belcher.
Sorry, I'm trying to see if it froze on purpose. Or if it just froze for him. Oh, it did. It just froze for him. See, that's what happens. I'm telling you, energy is powerful. The fact that this man got up and spoke and everything froze. This is a destructive force. This is a destructive force. This is not a person who things go smoothly around. This is not a person who knows how to play the back. This is not a person who is supportive. This is a person who comes in and fucking fucks up your live stream. So for now, that's all I got.
Ain't got no.
Come on, girl.
Whoa.